Hello, everyone. This is Michael, and I will be reading the Fall River Herald news for you today, Wednesday, August 6th. Taking a look at the upcoming weather for today, partly sunny. Temperatures 81 to 88 degrees during the day, 55 to 62 in the evening. Thursday, tomorrow, partly sunny, 77 to 84, slight dip in temperature, but in the evening, 52 to 59. On Friday, mostly sunny, 78 to 85, and in the evening, 56 to 63. Saturday, partly sunny again, 80 to 87. Temperatures in the evening, 62 to 69, but warmer. And on Sunday, partly sunny and humid, 82 to 89, and in the evening, 66 to 73 degrees. In local news today, the Fall River Public Schools District is recruiting to fill 194 job openings. With summer coming to an end, Fall River Public Schools is looking to hire faculty and staff before students take their seats on August 27th, the first day of school. There's one problem. The school district is transitioning between one online hiring software, School Spring, and another, Frontline Education. In the meantime, positions listed on both sites are collecting applications, adding a layer of confusion surrounding how best to track the number and kind of open positions, school committee member Kevin Aguiar noted at the July 29th school committee meeting. The school's Human Resources Department has ramped up job fairs, programming, professional development, and local events to meet interested candidates, beginning with a Bristol Community College job fair on May 1st this year, followed by a Fall River Public Schools job fair on May 5th that garnered 24 applications handed in that same day and resulted in 8 hires. According to June 2025 data, the district is looking to fill 194 vacancies. Job fairs at Bridgewater State University and through Mass Hire saw 30 interested candidates stop by. At the July 29th meeting, the district discussed piloting a referral program that would entitle returning employees to refer candidates for hire and reap specific benefits. Human Resources Director Brian Lally said, citing an upcoming Bristol Community College job fair in November, that, quote, getting out there and setting up a table at as many events as possible is really key to advertising our vacancies and why people should come work for Fall River, unquote. Quote, I think recruitment and retention go hand in hand, unquote, he said. Geographically, said Lally, the district is positioned in a region home to some of the best high education institutions, including Bridgewater State University and University of Massachusetts Dartmouth. The district shares a partnership with UMass Dartmouth that allows teachers to take a MAT professional licensure program and advance their licenses. Fall River, said Lally, is one of 3 public school districts tapping into the program with the Dartmouth campus. Participants are eligible for tuition remission, and already 140 hires stemmed from the programmatic efforts. A tentative collaboration with Roger Williams University could allow Fall River's employees to gain new skills and advance their professional licenses, including a special education master's program. Bridgewater's help with getting employees certified and purchase MTEL courses to support the city's educators. The public school system will enter this coming school year armed with a plan to, quote, build a diverse, sustainable, and well-supported educator pipeline, unquote, feeding K through 12 career placement and retention. How the district meets that target is dependent on cultivating talent within the district, which includes a pathway that could recruit high school students as employees after graduation. A paraprofessional mentor program could mean a more robust program that aids retention. Quote, we see a lot of people that resign and leave for other districts, unquote, said Lally. Holding exit interviews even in person and intuiting that feedback will be prioritized to learn why employees select and sign on to neighboring districts for better pay or to flee an individual unsavory experience. All these new initiatives aren't possible without financial access and support, Lally reminded board members. Additionally, the district will continue to fall back on advertising as a number one mechanism to attract talented new hires and has plans to use social media and other professional platforms like LinkedIn to locate and vet candidates. Frontline, said Lally, will increase visibility due to its enhanced platform and ability to reach a broader audience. Bonus amounts are assigned based on position salary ranges and the number of vacancies associated with those positions, said Lally, with bonuses ranging from $250 to $500. For hard-to-fill jobs, including special education, English as a second language instructors, and for high-needs positions, the referring employee would receive $500 per referral, provided the new hire stays in the position for a full year. All other referred positions, including substantially separate teachers' assistants and paraprofessionals, are worth $250. Staying with local news, Fall River man guilty of raping 3 children. A Fall River man has been convicted of repeatedly raping 3 children between the ages of 12 and 16 over a period of 8 years. Daniel Arruda, 46, of Fall River, was convicted after a jury trial on Thursday, July 31st, in Bristol County Superior Court in New Bedford. Arruda was found guilty of 3 counts of indecent assault and battery on a child under age 14, 3 counts of indecent assault and battery on a child over 14, and aggravated rape of a child with a 5-year age difference. According to the Bristol County District Attorney's Office, the children were known to Arruda. He committed the assaults and rapes during visits to his home in Fall River on various dates between 2013 and 2021. The Herald News does not name victims of sexual assault. The DA's office said that in May 2021, the youngest victim disclosed the abuse they had endured, which led to charges being lodged against Arruda for all 3 victims. District Attorney Thomas Quinn III said he was pleased with the outcome and said Arruda's repulsive behavior was a betrayal of trust. The case was prosecuted by First Assistant District Attorney Karen O'Sullivan and Assistant District Attorney Victoria Benza. Arruda is in custody. He is due back in Superior Court in Fall River on September 5th to be sentenced by Judge Renee Dupuis. According to Massachusetts general laws, the charge of indecent assault and battery on a child under 14 is punishable by up to 10 years in state prison. The aggravated rape charge is punishable by up to life in state prison with a minimum of 10 years. Turning now to national news, Texas redistricting sparks a wider fight. Texas has ripped open a nasty fight in its legislative halls of power that could determine who controls the U.S. Congress and President Donald Trump's final 2 years in office. Republican legislators in Austin redrew the Lone Star State's congressional maps after pressure from the president's political operatives, who are nervous that Democrats might win control of the House, as is typical for the party out of power, in 2026. Republicans fear that if that happened, Trump would be impeached for a 3rd time. The new maps create 5 new GOP-leaning districts and target Democratic incumbents. Voting rights advocates argue these changes will suppress Black and Hispanic voters. Progressives have fretted that the president and his allies are looking to lock them out of power for the foreseeable future as the administration continues to bulldoze its agenda through. Republicans hold 88 out of 150 seats in Texas's State House, leaving the 62-member Democratic caucus with very few options to stop the new congressional districts from taking effect. So they took drastic measures, leaving the state to deprive the chamber of the necessary 100-member quorum to proceed with a vote. The move also jeopardizes other issues on the special sessions menu, such as addressing funding for flood prevention in the wake of the deadly July 4th disaster that killed more than 130 people along the Guadalupe River. The plan has a 30-day time limit in the special session Governor Greg Abbott convened on July 25th. Abbott said the mid-cycle redistricting was necessary after receiving a July 7th letter from the Justice Department that cited, quote, constitutional concerns, unquote, about the existing congressional boundaries. President Donald Trump defended the new GOP maps August 5th on CNBC's Squawk Box. Quote, I won Texas, he said, and we are entitled to 5 more seats, unquote. Trump also said the places to which Texas Democrats fled used the same tactics when crafting their congressional districts. Quote, "Do you notice they go to Illinois for safety, but that's all gerrymandered?" Quote, he said. Quote, "California's gerrymandered. We should have many more seats in Congress. It's all gerrymandered," unquote. Abbott, on August 4th, raised the stakes for Democratic legislators by ordering Texas law enforcement to arrest those who left. Quote, "Texas House Democrats abandoned their duty to Texans," Abbott said in an August 4th press release announcing the decision. "By fleeing the state, Texas House Democrats are holding hostage critical legislation to aid flood victims and advance property tax relief. There are consequences for dereliction of duty," unquote. It was unclear whether and how Texas law enforcement would be able to work with out-of-state law enforcement to execute the arrest order, which Abbott said is designed to ensure the missing Democrats comply with civil arrest warrants issued by state Republican lawmakers in an 85-6 vote earlier in the day. Those warrants apply only within state lines. Abbott previously threatened the absent lawmakers with expulsion if they did not return by August 4th, arguing the Democrats' quote, "deliberate plan not to show up for work," unquote, amounted to forfeiting their elected office. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who was impeached by the Texas House on bribery charges in 2023, said absconding legislators will be, quote, "found, arrested, and brought back," unquote, to the state. Quote, "We should use every tool at our disposal to hunt down those who think they are above the law," unquote, Paxton said. Under Texas House rules, the legislature can issue civil arrest warrants and have the sergeant at arms force a member's attendance in a state that would cooperate. Members who don't show up also face a $500 a day fine, and Texas Democrats began fundraising in July to cover those costs. But breaking quorum isn't against the law, which means federal agencies do not have the authority to bring those lawmakers back by force. Abbott said that his arrest order, called on the Texas Department of Public Safety to take action, would remain in place until every missing Democratic member has been brought to the Texas Capitol. The governors of those bluer pastures to which Texas Democrats fled said they would pursue creating new maps that favor their own party should the Trump-inspired plan move ahead. Quote, "This is a war. We are at war," unquote, New York Governor Kathy Hochul said at a August 4th press conference during which she discussed the possibility of new maps. Quote, "And that's why the gloves are off, and I say bring it on," unquote. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, a potential 2028 presidential candidate, joined Texas Democratic lawmakers at their press conference this past weekend. He has reportedly helped them find lodging and other accommodations, saying, quote, "Everything is on the table," unquote, including the Prairie State coming up with new maps. Quote, "Trump came up with a new scheme to rig the system by ramming through a corrupt, mid-decade redistricting plan that would steal 5 congressional seats, silencing millions of voters, especially black and Latino voters," unquote, Pritzker said. California Governor Gavin Newsom, another possible White House contender, has proposed temporarily setting aside his state's independent redistricting commission. Democrats dominate the Golden State, holding 43 out of 52 congressional seats. Whatever happens in Texas, the fight over Congress via redistricting is continuing in Ohio, where Republicans hold a supermajority in the state legislature. Senator Bernie Moreno, Republican from Ohio, has telegraphed that the plan is to create at least 2 GOP-leaning districts, likely targeting Democratic representatives Marcy Kaptur and Emilia Sykes, who represent Toledo and Akron, respectively. The Buckeye State has a congressional delegation made up of 10 Republicans and 5 Democrats. Trump won the state by 11% last year. Also on the national scene, Canadian fires prompt U.S. air quality warnings. Wildfires burning out of control in Canada are leaving a trail of smoke across the northern United States and prompting local authorities to issue health warnings for millions of people due to poor air quality. The blazes raging in Canada are creating poor conditions in the Midwest and Northeast, the National Weather Service said on August 4th. Officials from Minnesota to Maine have issued air quality alerts, according to the Storm Prediction Center. The impact from the fires isn't as dramatic as the wildfires of 2023 that left New York City blanketed in a moon-glow orange. But weak winds have left the smoke to linger over the northern United States for days, said Dan Cornish, a forecaster with the National Weather Service in Michigan. Quote, "We're definitely seeing prolonged impact. We've had several days of hazy skies," unquote, Cornish told USA Today, adding the horizon outside the Weather Service office in Gaylord, Michigan, has been a milky gray for days. Quote, "Unfortunately, that's just going to continue to deteriorate air quality across much of this area," unquote. The worst of the blazes impacting the United States are burning in the provinces of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Western Ontario, according to the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre. Most of the Canadian blazes are sparked by lightning in dry, remote, forested areas that are difficult for firefighters to access except by aircraft, according to Cornish. Quote, "You get a lot of wildfires that can start up in those conditions, and it's a challenge, but that's the nature of it, quite literally," unquote, Cornish said. Quote, "There's nothing you can do to prevent it." Storm Prediction Center alert maps show blanket air quality warnings for the states of Michigan, Wisconsin, New York, and the New England region. Stronger winds are expected to blow the smoke until August 6th or 7th for the Midwest, Cornish said. Conditions in the Northeast will likely improve by the end of the week, according to the forecaster. The fires have catapulted major American and Canadian cities onto the list of the most polluted places in the world, according to a global air quality index maintained by IQ Air, a Swiss-based air quality monitoring company. Detroit, Minneapolis, and Toronto were among the top 11 most polluted cities in the world on the evening of August 4th, according to IQ Air. New York City and Montreal were among the top 20 most polluted cities, according to the Global Index. Authorities recommend limiting outdoor activity in the areas impacted by smoke from Canadian wildfires. Children, older adults, and people suffering from respiratory conditions, including asthma, are particularly vulnerable to the fine particulate matter small enough to be inhaled that is the toxic byproduct of wildfires, environmental officials warned. Wildfire smoke can irritate one's eyes, nose, and throat and cause coughing, chest tightness, shortness of breath, dizziness, and fatigue. Particulate matter, noted in measurements such as PM, is one of the main components of wildfire smoke, comprised of small particles of solids or liquids suspended in the air. Elsewhere on the political scene, a Nebraska lawmaker booed by constituents at town hall. Congressman Mike Flood said he wanted to talk about President Donald Trump's signature legislation and declared there was, quote, "a lot of misinformation," unquote, surrounding it. That's when the shouting started, continuing for more than an hour as the Republican lawmaker faced a rowdy town hall crowd in Lincoln, Nebraska on August 4th, full of people irate over Trump's new bill and other policies coming from his administration. Audience members in the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Kimball Recital Hall pressed Flood on releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files, accused Trump of fascism, and raised concerns about cuts to government programs. They yelled and booed continuously as Flood spoke. Trump carried Nebraska by 20 percentage points in 2024, and Flood won his district, which includes Lincoln and other communities in the eastern part of the state, by the same margin in 2024. But the town hall reflected an energized opposition to the new administration. Trump's top legislative priority, a package that includes sweeping tax cuts and deep reductions to spending on programs such as Medicaid, was a frequent target. The president signed the new law on July 4th. With the House in recess until September, lawmakers are now home in their districts, hearing directly from voters about the legislation. Polls indicate the measure is unpopular. Trump and the GOP have been gearing up to sell voters on it ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. The town hall highlighted the challenges they face. The crowd unloaded on Flood, who tried to preempt some of the criticism by opening the event with a defense of the law, lauding the tax reductions and focusing on Medicaid work requirements and a fund to help rural hospitals. Quote, "More than anything, I truly believe this bill protects Medicaid for the future," unquote, Flood said. The crowd booed and the criticism kept coming. The law is projected to cut $1 trillion, mostly from Medicaid and Affordable Care Act insurance plans, and eliminate insurance coverage for 11.8 million people over the next decade, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. A person raised concerns about thousands of Nebraskans losing health insurance coverage. Other constituents focused on the CBO projection that the law will increase the national debt by $3.4 trillion over a decade. With the Trump administration embroiled in a controversy over releasing government records about Epstein, a wealthy financier who died in jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges, one person asked Flood, quote, "Why are you covering up the Epstein files?" unquote. Flood said he favors releasing the records. The congressman was also pressed about how to ensure the accuracy of the nation's economic data after Trump decided to fire Erica McIntyre, the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, following the agency's release of a report showing weak job creation. Flood said he didn't know the details, but that, quote, "If all that person did was get the data out there, and I don't know that's the case, but if that's all they did, I would not have fired her," unquote. In business news, the U.S. to require some tourists to post bonds. The United States could require bonds of up to $15,000 for some tourist and business visas under a pilot program launching in 2 weeks, a government notice said on August 4th, an effort that aims to crack down on visitors who overstay their visas. The program gives U.S. consular officers the discretion to impose bonds on visitors from countries with high rates of visa overstays, according to a Federal Register notice. Bonds could also be applied to people coming from countries where screening and vetting information is deemed insufficient, the notice said. President Donald Trump has made cracking down on illegal immigration a focus of his presidency, boosting resources to secure the border and arresting people in the United States illegally. He issued a travel ban in June that fully or partially blocks citizens of 19 nations from entering the country on national security grounds. Trump's immigration policies have led some visitors to skip travel to the United States. Transatlantic airfares dropped to rates last seen before the COVID-19 pandemic in May, and travel from Canada and Mexico to the U.S. fell by 20% year over year. Effective August 20th, the new visa program will last for approximately a year, the government notice said. Consular officers will have 3 options for visa applicants subjected to the bonds: $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000, but will generally be expected to require at least $10,000, it said. A similar pilot program was launched in November 2020 during the last months of Trump's first term in office, but it was not fully implemented due to the drop in global travel associated with the pandemic, the notice said. The State Department was unable to estimate the number of visa applicants who could be affected by the change. Many of the countries targeted by Trump's travel ban also have high rates of visa overstays, including Chad, Eritrea, Haiti, Myanmar, and Yemen. Numerous countries in Africa also had high overstay rates, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection data from fiscal year 2023. And the Gates Foundation commits $2.5 billion to women's health. The Gates Foundation will spend $2.5 billion by 2030 on women's health, it said on August 4th, with founder Bill Gates saying the area, including conditions from preeclampsia to menopause, has been neglected for too long. The investment is among its first big commitments since Gates announced earlier this year that he would give away his $200 billion fortune by 2045. It is around 1/3 more than the foundation spent on women's and maternal health research and development over the last 5 years. Quote, "Women's health continues to be ignored, underfunded, and sidelined. Too many women still die from preventable causes or live in poor health, unquote, Gates said in a statement. That must change. The work will look at deeply under-researched areas that affect hundreds of millions of women in both high and low-income countries, from preeclampsia and gestational diabetes to heavy menstrual bleeding, endometriosis, and menopause. Investment will focus on 5 key areas: obstetric care and maternal immunization, maternal health and nutrition, gynecological and menstrual health, contraceptive innovation, and sexually transmitted infection. The aim is to kickstart research, develop products, and ensure equitable access to them worldwide. The Foundation's head of gender equality, Dr. Anita Zaidi, said that the field has been held back in part because of bias and a lack of data on key issues, such as how drugs cross into the uterus. Quote, "If you look at the literature, there may be only 10 women who have been studied ever," she told Reuters. "We don't even have the answers to these basic questions," unquote. Just 1% of the healthcare research and innovation spending went to female-specific conditions beyond cancer, a 2021 analysis by McKinsey & Company found. Zaidi acknowledged that the $2.5 billion was a, quote, "drop in the bucket," unquote, compared with what was needed, and called on others to step in, including the private sector, philanthropists, and governments. Gates' ex-wife, philanthropist Melinda French Gates, has also invested in women's health since leaving the foundation last year. HHS to wind down mRNA vaccine work. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said on August 5th it would wind down mRNA vaccine development activities under its Biomedical Research Unit. The unit, Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, helps companies develop medical supplies to address public health threats and had provided billions of dollars for development of vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic. HHS said the wind down includes cancellation of a contract awarded to Moderna for the late-stage development of its bird flu vaccine for humans and the right to purchase the shots, as previously reported in May. The U.S. Health Agency said it was also rejecting or canceling multiple pre-award solicitations, including proposals from Pfizer, Sanofi Pasteur, CSL Seqirus, Gritstone, and others. This is the latest development under Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., a longtime vaccine skeptic who has been making sweeping changes to reshape vaccine, food, and medicine policies. Kennedy said HHS is terminating these programs because data shows these vaccines, quote, failed to protect effectively against upper respiratory infections like COVID and flu, unquote, but did not offer scientific evidence. Quote, we're shifting that funding towards safer, broader vaccine platforms that remain effective even as viruses mutate, unquote, Kennedy said. In total, the decision affects 22 projects worth nearly $500 million, the agency said. HHS said the decision follows a comprehensive review of mRNA-related investments initiated during the COVID-19 public health emergency. That's all the time that I have for now. This has been Michael reading the Fall River Herald News for today, Wednesday, August 6th. Please have a wonderful day today for yourself.